Good evening. On behalf of the governing body of the City of Passaic, we welcome you to the February 4th, 2025 City Council meeting. In accordance with Chapter 231, Public Laws of 1975, adequate notice of this meeting was provided by resolution of the Municipal Council adopted on June 18th, 2024, setting forth the schedule of meetings for the year 2024-2025. Said notice was published and posted on the City Hall Bulletin Board by the Office of the City Clerk. Please be further advised, this meeting will be conducted in person. The Zoom stream provided is for viewing only and is offered to the public as a convenience. On January 22nd, 2025, public notice and Zoom instructions for this meeting were published in the Herald News and posted on the City of Passaic website at www.cityofpassaic.com, Council Agendas. Instructions are also available on the last page of this agenda. Please be guided accordingly.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Present.
Councilwoman Mello,
Present.
Councilman Garcia,
Present.
and Council President Scheer.
Present. Shall we all please rise?
Heavenly Father, we want to thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here this evening. We ask you to please guide us in the decisions that will take place this evening. In your beloved name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty.
Liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for coming tonight, ladies and gentlemen. If you have cell phones, please turn them on vibrate or off. Also, if you don't have a copy of the agenda of tonight's meeting, they're accessible on the city's website, as well as all the information and background on tonight's meeting, including resolutions, ordinances, and correspondence. They are all available to you, and they represent what was passed to the council by the administration. We have a slight addition to tonight's agenda, and that is after the mayor's update, we will have a presentation from Passaic Valley Water Commission regarding the replacement of lead pipes in Passaic and overall. Mr. Mayor, it's a privilege to have you here tonight. I like the glasses.
Thank you, Council President. They are, I assure you, for practical purposes and not for aesthetics, because not very much would help this. But I'll be brief because we do have a presentation. I want to share that we had the NAACP flag raising in the city of Passaic, led by President Sherry Greer, as well as First Vice President Albert Williams. And we had clergy and educators and members of the city council officials all present. It took place indoors at the Senior Center, where we've been taking that approach for the winter, and it was just a remarkable and amazingly successful ceremony. I wanted to share that this week, specifically, we have our motor vehicles that will be here working with Assemblyman Gary Shear's office of the 36th Legislative District this Saturday at City Hall from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, that's correct?
Yes, sir.
2:30 p.m. So we have flyers. We've advertised it out to the community, and we'll put it up on our LED monitors throughout the city so people are aware. Also today, Ms. Joyce Hunt of our community development held the annual action plan for programming this year in terms of CDBG and home fundings for potential applicants. We do this once a year just to let them know of deadlines and give them expectations. In a conversation that we had with our department heads, along with the business administrator, we did discuss that year after year, there's been a gradual decline in terms of the monies that have been available. But as of right now, we don't have any expectation of a drastic reduction of any funding that would be available. We'll keep the council abreast and informed if we get any indication. Also, I wanted to let you know that over the weekend, along with Councilwoman Mello, we attended a remarkable event at the Boys and Girls Club of they call it Patterson and Passaic. I always tell them it's a typo. You mean Passaic and Patterson, but either way. Try to remind them how they got the building. I think you were a crucial part of that initial negotiation for the place. But they did have a remarkable event where they had over 50 young ladies, students, council president, members of the city council, who presented business plans or program initiatives. And then there was a number of judges, about 20 judges, and they presented almost like Shark Tank. They went up in a group, they pitched, they did presentations, and at the end, 3 of them received top prizes, and every young lady received a check to move forward with their initiative. So it was just an incredible program. I want to thank Dr. Brown, who's the new executive director, as well as all of the department heads at the Boys and Girls Club. I thought that was amazing. Also this week, with our executive director at Alfred Spear Village, along with the L&M partners, as well as the administrative staff. There was a presentation for the community regarding potential rehabilitation projects, as they have mandatory presentations and answering questions to the community. We're extremely excited as we continue moving forward with the potential of rehabilitating Aspen Spear Village. We are excited that the monies are going to be available, and we continue to work collaboratively with the city, with housing, and informing the community. There were questions that arose about potential relocation. They are looking, Council President, members of the City Council, to hire a relocation officer that will work with individual residents as to decide whether they want to stay on the property, move to an adjacent unit while the rehabilitation occurs, or take up the option to go anywhere that would be accepted in terms of their voucher. They also discussed the fact that at the completion of the project, every single resident would be allowed to return. They would have the right, the option, but the right and obligation by law to be able to be accommodated in terms of not just the return, but the move. They must be accommodated, help, funding in order to move, and no one can be forced out for the rehabilitation to occur, meaning if reasonable accommodation is not available before the rehabilitation begins, then they cannot move forward with the project until they find it. So I think this is the crucial component and paramount in terms of the success of the project, that every resident understands their rights. We are ensuring that every resident receives the information in their language that they understand, and we're going to continue to have multiple meetings. Working with the city clerk, obviously with our council, we've made this space available to ensure that their community meetings can be held in a conducive space where as many people as possible can show up. And we want to thank Mr. Rene Nunez from our media center, who facilitated the obvious presentations online, including their PowerPoints that went detail by detail as a step-by-step regarding this project. I also want to take this opportunity to congratulate Mr. Nelson Castillo on behalf of Doris Dudek and the entire city of Passaic for his retirement. He is retiring from City Hall. The looks on the faces of the council members and everyone else is one of jealousy, indeed jealousy, but excitement and encouragement as all of us look to one day be able to look back on our careers and say, it's been good, but Nelson is gonna apparently go traveling. There was some jokes at the retirement party with his wife about him coming in a different capacity, to which she enthusiastically screamed out, no, that's not going to be an option. So we obviously understood that. And then lastly, obviously with the frigid temperatures overnight, and we've seen some relief from it, during the day, Dignity House remains open. Our coordinator at Human Services is here, Ms. Judith Sanchez, and she had shared that we are able to close in the day, ensure that we keep everything clean. But coming up, we are going into the Super Bowl. And every year for the past, I believe now it's going on over 6 years now, we have had the Super Bowl ceremony for our homeless individuals, where we come together, we watch the game together, we provide food. It's an all-day event. In the morning, they get free haircuts. Some of the women from salons come and volunteer to do the hair of certain individuals that would like to get their hair done. And then as well, we provide showers, we provide resources, clothing, toiletries. Also, we utilize that opportunity. We capitalize on the day and connect them with wraparound services, support services, information from the county to state agencies as we continue to do so. If we have individuals that aren't aware of our mailbox program, which has facilitated and resulted in getting individuals off the streets and into permanent housing by receiving correspondence and mail, whether from programming, social services, veteran services, or connecting with a family or loved one. And then again, as I shared in the beginning, at night, we all come together, we eat, we watch the game, and it's a wonderful experience. And we continue that tradition. Council President, members of the City Council, members of the public that are with us, that is my report, at least a brief one today, because we have a wonderful presentation from the Passaic Valley Water Commission. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for your understanding. May I ask, there's several questions that I have. One, the most important, how many homeless do we attend to on?
So as I mentioned, those are usually hard numbers to share as seasonally. In the winter, we always have an uptick in those that find themselves in challenges, because in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, there are day jobs. Those that do landscaping, construction, those jobs, they tend to go away in the winter. So we see the number rise up. And then there are those that, though they have a roof over their head, they're still considered homeless in that they don't have a permanent place to stay. So there are those that may be staying with a loved one, those that may be going from one place to another. So that number can range up to 100 around the city. In Dignity House, at most, we've had over 40 individuals on one evening. At least when the weather's a little better, individuals find assistance somewhere else. It ranges between 25 to 35 on a daily basis. And we open it in extreme weather conditions. Again, as I share with the community, it is not a shelter. It is not a homeless shelter. It is a homeless resource center. We provide showers once a week, donations, food, as well as mailboxes for anyone who doesn't have a mailbox. It's a unique program that we had created here, and it has been extremely effective. But in terms of the numbers, Council is drastically lower in the summer. So when we have a code red, heat temperatures that rise over 95 degrees, you may see between 12 15, almost 20, but typically individuals have jobs and they're able to pay for somewhere to stay during the summer. And then in the winter, that's when we really see the numbers come up. But I don't think we've had a single day where we've had over 50. Madam Sanchez, is there? No? Okay. I think I'm calling you Madam President of the Board of Education.
And just as a follow-up, Mayor, we've had a problem in the past. We've tried to do so very much under your leadership in terms of the homeless. But we've noticed in the past that other municipalities adjacent or close to us have not.
That is a great point. Council President, there are some municipalities that have been extremely rigid and restrictive in saying that they will only accept homeless individuals from within their municipalities.
Isn't that a bit of a contradiction in terms?
Yes. How do you ask a homeless person, where do you live? You're homeless, transient. They tend to go from one place to another. What we have been clear with our police department that if individuals are dropped off from another police department, we make clear, especially when we're at capacity, that we cannot receive them, that we will help to direct them, whether to a shelter or another program. We've been working well to communicate with other agencies and let people know when we are at capacity. You know, it gets very, very difficult to say no. We can only take what we have capacity, and we have pushed it sometimes even beyond what I'm willing to share because we're not going to count everyone, but there is a limit. And we understand that with those who find themselves temporarily displaced or dealing with long-term homelessness, that when the weather rises, not everyone leaves. And then we have to take on, and we have limited resources. We speak very candidly to the county to explain to them that we must all do our part. We cannot take on the issues or concerns of every other municipality. Council President, as you rightly pointed out, there were some years where we were receiving individuals from another state. Wow. Where they heard of the efforts that we were doing in Passaic. We will do our best to direct, to assist, and obviously in an emergency situation, doesn't matter. If we find you in an emergency situation, we're going to get you to the hospital. We'll make sure you get every help that you need. However, if you're being dropped off from another municipality, we're going to be clear that if you have some kind of resource, you must use your resource because we cannot take on the concerns of every other municipality. But if we're all doing our part, there is no panacea approach to all the social elements that we deal with or the ills of society. But if we all do our part, we can make a real impact. Hopefully that answered the question.
Excellently put. Thank you, sir. Members? Very good. With the council's permission, I know we have the Water Commission.
Good evening. Just want to thank Mayor Laura, Council President, Chair, and the City Council as a whole for having me here tonight. I've been told I have 10 minutes, so I will stay on time. You do have the year-end review report for Passaic Valley Water Commission. It should be on your chairs. But we're going to also deliver copies to the City Hall in English and Spanish to hand out if people are interested in what's going on at the commission, if you want more detail. So I'll just give a quick system overview of Passaic Valley, talk about our capital plan, water main replacements, Levine storage tanks, the lead service line replacement update, hydrant replacements, and just talking about our new website. And it'll move fairly quickly. So this is just an overview of our system. There's 650 miles of water mains. About 110 miles are 16 inches or greater. We have 51-inch mains, our transmission mains that kind of circle the system, and then the smaller mains bring that into the cities and the towns to the houses. Cover Clifton, Patterson, Passaic. I should start with Passaic. I apologize. Passaic, Patterson, and Clifton. Prospect Park. I'm listening. I'm listening to every word. I'm listening everywhere. Prospect Park, North Arlington, Lodi, Postbrook, and Highcrest, the Senzo Pond as well, which is up in West Milford. 77 million gallons per day is what we do for water to our retail areas. We also provide water to wholesale areas where there other utilities or entities take care of their pipes. We take care of our own, but we give them bulk water. And we have over 200 employees, close to 250 employees, many from the local cities. And there's 22 wholesale customers. So that's an overview of the system. So last year, our Board of Commissioners approved an $809 million capital plan. It's a 5-year plan along with water rate increases, and it's necessary because of the age and the condition of the system, as well as regulatory mandates that we have to abide by, state and federal mandates. We have gotten almost $50 million of principal for loan forgiveness from the water bank, the state water bank, for key projects, and I'll highlight that in a minute, particularly the lead service line replacements, where almost 80% of that project, $27 million, is paid for, where we don't have to pay the loan back. And I want to thank you, Council President, Chair. I think you're one of the key sponsors of some of the state bills. Some of that funding flowed that way, and again, credit to you. It's really paid off, and I'll go through the details there. We've made a lot of progress, and we're nearing completion, which has been fantastic. And we continue to work with New Jersey DEP. I was just on a IUP, the intended use plan for the state. I was on a call with New Jersey DEP this morning. We're seeking more principal forgiveness opportunities because there's more to be done. So, we're doing everything we can to keep the system in a state of good repair and compliant, and we'll continue to work with the state on future funding opportunities as well to help out. So water main replacements. I mentioned there's 650 miles of water mains in our retail areas. 46% of those mains were installed between 1940 and 1880. So by 2030, which is only, believe it or not, 5 years away, which I still can't believe, almost 70% of those mains, in Passaic in particular, and in Patterson, so those are two of the older cities, are going to be between 100 and 150 years old, almost 70%. So that's part of we need to start investing in the system now, both to reduce water main breaks and also events of discolored water. So there's a lot there for water mains that we're just starting to ramp up. And I should acknowledge my colleagues here, Brian Frierson from our communications department, Alex Wells, supervising engineer, running the water main replacement program. We're really starting to program those projects now. There's projects in design that we plan to bid out in Q1, Q2, in the next 4 to 5 months on the street and get shovels in the ground, hopefully in late summer, early fall, and get moving on starting to replace those mains. So that's the water main replacement program. We also have our reservoir storage program, cover the reservoir program, starting with the Levine storage tanks. As you know, or many of you know, we have 3 open air drinking water reservoirs, meaning it's already treated, it's supposed to go into distribution, and it's exposed to the atmosphere. That's prone to, it could be animals, it could be stormwater runoff. It's prone to contamination, which is not good. We want that, secure. So there's federal regulation that says they have to be covered. They're no longer legal. We're under administrative consent order, and we bid out our first project in last spring, and there was a bid protest. We just got the appellate court to approve our bid award to the second lowest bidder. We are moving forward, $42 million project. Not small. Again, I want to thank New Jersey DEP. They've upped the principal forgiveness for that project in particular from $2 million, which it was 2 years ago, to $10 million. So it's $42 million, $10 million of it will not have to be paid back through that principal forgiveness program. And we're looking to start work in the next 4 to 5 months again. We'll have a groundbreaking. We'll invite, the council and Mr. Mayor will invite you and others to participate. It's a really signature job where we're finally getting to cover our reservoirs and come into compliance with the federal rule. And then the lead service line replacements, as I mentioned before, tremendous. This is free to customers. Again, I want to thank Council President Sher for sponsoring this. Almost 80% of it is subsidized, where we don't have to pay back the loan. And it's a mandate as well. We have to do this, but it's really to protect public health. Get the lead out of the service line so that it reduces the likelihood of contamination in the house. And we have about 6,500 lines that we need to replace as part of the original contract. We have made great progress. I want to thank Alex Wells and Brian for getting the word out to people and continuing to work on that. We are almost done. So we're projecting this spring, maybe early summer, to finish those replacements. We're over 4,500 have been replaced already. So we're about 80% complete, close to 80% complete. Again, it's free to the customers. Now, there was local city ordinances passed back in 2022 that allowed this program to go forward. As part of that, there was also an authorization. If people are refusing to replace those lines, there could be a fine imposed by the city. We're reaching the flat part, meaning our productivity has kind of gone down. We're reaching the tail end of houses. Some people are non-responsive. There's some vacant properties. There could be delinquent accounts involved. There's a lot. It's a little complex. So we're starting to ramp up, again, communication efforts of, hey, it's free, take advantage, time's running out, but also starting to consider where we can't get that. Is there a fine we're thinking of imposing? We don't do that lightly. What we really want to do is help people and remove their lead lines. But we'll likely be working with you, Rick, and Mayor Laura in terms of how that works as we get to the tail end of the program. Decommissioning houses is an option if it's a vacant property. People would have to replace the line on their own, at their own cost once they sell. So there's a lot of reasons to take advantage of the program. So again, we want to keep getting that word out, but we make great progress. We're getting there. We're almost done, and we're really on the tail end. I think there's 800 remaining properties out of the original 6,500. So it's been great, and thank my team for that. Again, this is the lead service line, so specifics on Passaic. We've replaced 800, so out of those 4,500 plus lines that have been replaced, 825 were in Passaic. There's another 175 remaining. So about 83% we're complete in Passaic. We have rights of entry. We can't just enter people's houses. They have to give us that right of entry. So out of that 175 remaining, we have 65 rights of entry, which is great. So then it's just a scheduling issue, right? We just have to get in there, schedule it, and get it done. There's about 110 where we still need the right of entry, and 100 of those folks are non-responsive. So that's where we're looking to work in, push in, try to get this done in the easiest way for the customer, the most effective way for the utility, and remove those lead lines. And that's where we are. Not horrible numbers at all. Like I said, 90% are either rights of entry or completed, which is terrific. And we're going to keep working on that and work very closely with the city as we try to wind this program down. But time is running out. So please, to your constituents, please let them know. Take advantage of it. They can reach out. They can contact PVWC. We have contact information here that they can reach out and try to get that scheduled as well. Hydrants. So we just finished up an $11.5 million contract to replace over 1,100 hydrants in our retail area. 145 of those hydrants were in Passaic. They were old. Some of them were not working. You need them in emergencies. We also need them to flush the system and keep it fresh. So that was great. About 21% of the hydrants in Passaic have been replaced and are new. It's about $10,000 a location. It's more expensive than you might think. There's a large excavation. There's other pipes involved. So it's not just replacing the surface hydrant. It's the underlying piping on it. And as well as we replaced hydrants in some of the other cities. Again, as we come in, it's probably hard to believe, right? But spring is right around the corner. It's been very cold. Unauthorized hydrant usage continues to be a problem. When it gets warmer, it can come from street paving. It can come from local construction. It can come from street sweeping. We want to continue to partner with the cities. Passaic has been a wonderful partner. We want to continue to do that. I want to, again, thank you, Mayor Laura. You're always great about getting the word out. But it does cause water main breaks. It does cause discolored water for customers. So we want to really keep partnering with our cities to try to prevent that. They can contact us. We can give them, we can facilitate the proper hydrants to use. We can go out and be a partner. So that season's coming up. And we continue to meet with our fire departments as well on training and to facilitate that so that we don't cause water main breaks by shutting hydrants too quick. It causes a water hammer, can vibrate the pipe, and it can break. So again, that part of the season's coming up. This is just an example from 2022. We put up a drone because we were having a systemic problems with discolored water, and this is our own drone footage of a contractor hooking up to a hydrant. It might take a couple minutes. It's very quick, so it's hard to track. But when we catch it, we actually notified this contractor that it's a misdemeanor. You're not allowed, you're unauthorized access. You're not allowed to be on the water system. So again, this is just an example of what it looks like. If you see that, if the local police see that, we try to say, stay off those hydrants. Contact the water company. We'll try to facilitate the right for you to go and prevent those water main breaks and discolored water. And again, this whole video, it was about 90 seconds. It's very quick. That's why the contractors like the hydrants. It's a high pressure. It fills their truck quick, right? You don't have to be there for a long time. So you see they're queued up. They know what they're doing, but we really want to dissuade that. And then we have our new website. So this is my last slide. Again, trying to stay on time. We're very proud of this website. Couple intriguing features that are new for us. You can now translate the website into, I believe it's 5 or 6 different languages. Spanish, Polish, Arabic, Bengali, and we're looking to expand as well. So just go on there, you click the language, and all the web pages convert to your language. It's great. The year in review report that you do have in front of you is posted to the website in Spanish as well. We're looking at other languages, but it's on there, and we will provide a hard copy Spanish version as well for City Hall. If they run like hotcakes, we can bring more. If not, if we don't hear from you, we'll know you were good with the volume we gave you. But I think it's like 25 or so we're going to bring down if folks are interested. But encourage you to go to our website. There's a lot of good information on it. A lot of the programs I just talked about, you can get information here, pay your bill, that kind of thing. And I think that is it. And these are just our contact numbers. Again, encourage constituents, they can call that main number if they want to help on scheduling a lead line replacement, or if they feel like they missed the contractor, no longer in the neighborhood, we can route them back. Our customer service department every day is calling those numbers and trying to push in. So these are just the contacts that folks can use and proactively call us as well. That's all I had. I want to, again, thank you all for the time. Appreciate it. And if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer. If not.
No, thank you, Mr. Miller. Thank you very much for being here. One question that's been of concern to many of us. We have the pleasure of living on the East Coast. On the West Coast, forest fires seem to be a major problem. And with forest fires, water pressure. So I don't expect any forest fires in the city of Passaic, and that's okay with me. But I'm concerned about water pressure.
Sure. So we do have local areas where we know there's pressure problems. What comes along with that aging system, and as I mentioned, the water main replacement program, we're going to try to address that. There's certain parts of the system, depending on where you are. It's just how it was designed. There's dead-end loops. It's not a high flow. It can become stagnant. It can also cause water quality issues. So one of the things we're prioritizing on our water main replacement is trying to get rid of those areas, make it more flow-through system where the pressure can be maintained and water quality. If you do have specific, and we know there's specific pressure problems. Again, there's 2 projects that I'm planning to bid or even assign to an emergency contractor in the next 4 to 5 months in Passaic, where we think we'll address some local, there's broken valve. There's a lot of reasons why water pressure can be affected. It might not be the pipe, it could be the valves, which are broken in the street. We have plans to fix 2 priority areas in Passaic in the next 4 or 5 months. We plan to either bid it or just assign it to, we'll bid an emergency contract and just assign it to them to come in and fix. I want to say it's on the order of $1 to $2 million for those local projects, something in that ballpark. We're still finalizing our costs. And then there's more to come. We'll continue to invest in the system and improve that system. I think some of the hydrant replacements we did also helped where those hydrants weren't working. Fire departments had to go further, maybe in an emergency situation. So again, we've replaced almost 150 hydrants in Passaic, which should help in certain areas as well. If there's particular areas of concern, you can reach out to me. You can or have folks call us, and we're very responsive. I have to credit my distribution team. When we get calls, we'll go out to the house. They have discolored water, we'll investigate it. They have low pressure, we'll go out and investigate it, because we don't want that. And when it's more system driven that we can't correct, that's where we look at capital to replace those pipes.
And another question, if I may, before I ask members of the council to join. You said there's resistance. About 100 locations are resistant to people coming in from the authority. Are these primarily owners, or are they apartment dwellers?
And if I said resistance, I apologize. I meant non-responsive. Oh, I did. Okay. I said, I didn't say resistance. Yeah, it's more they're not picking up the phone. As we all know, scheduling can be tough. Some people work 2 jobs. Some people, they have competing needs where they're not just there to answer their phone. We do door knocking. Our customer service department is still going down the list and trying to proactively call at all hours. Not too late, but say 7:30 to 6:30, 7:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night, trying to reach folks at that time. So it's more non-responsive. You're bringing up a good point. There's some I'll call them absentee landlords that might be an issue. Folks who live in the, let's say it's an apartment building, they can actually let us in. Your city ordinance allows them, they can let us in. You don't need, say, an LLC's permission who might be out of wherever to let us in. The local folks can, and we'll go replace that line. We're not there to look at anything else. We're not looking at code violations. We're just there to replace the lead. And I think we've proven that out for the 4,500 or so we've replaced. We want to leave. We want to come and go. So some are delinquent. I think about 33 out of the 175 in Passaic are delinquent. That could be a factor. Again, our customer service department's trying to work with folks. Payment plans, no interest payment plans, just try to get that corrected and let us replace your lead line for free. So there's a variety of, and some of it I think is just scheduling where they're not available.
Excellent, thank you.
Yeah.
Council members?
Yeah,
Councilman Love, please.
yes, I'm sorry, Council President. Thank you. I just wanted to commend the commission. First of all, even myself, I'm very hesitant about allowing just anyone in my house, right? I mean, for reasons, obvious reasons, right? You hear the stories all the time. And that's with myself being able to call Mr. Fernandez, the mayor, and ask what's going on directly. Not that citizens can't, but I do have a direct line. And I still have reservations, but your agents and those that came out, it was really helpful that they left phone numbers on literature that belongs to the Valley, the Water Commission. And when you called, you had to go through the prompts of the Water Commission to reach them. So I just want to say that that's an excellent idea. I don't know who was the brain of it, but you should take the credit as executive.
Yeah, I'll take the credit for the
That's
agency.
right. You take everything else.
It's a team effort.
Yes.
Complete team effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to say that. I also want to say that the time that it took for the repairs was very, they were on point. They gave me an estimate. They came, they got it done without any problems. So I just want to say I commend you guys for that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
And I also got those sentiments from my neighbors and residents throughout the city.
I'll pass that on back. That's great. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Just want to say thank you because 2 years ago when you guys came, said that this project was going to start, and then just to see how much you've accomplished, it's very impressive. Thank you. And the effort that was put forward is you guys make sure that it was available, the information in several languages, because we do have a very diverse city. So thank you for that. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank my team and
And the
folks who
website.
aren't here. It's real team effort. So, but I very much appreciate that, and I will bring that back. Thank you.
Council President? Wait, I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Mayor.
is there any additional comments?
I'm sorry?
I didn't know if there were any additional comments before I ask a question.
Please.
So there are about 100 addresses that are non-responsive. Have you provided those addresses to the city? I know that when it comes to phone calls, there may be those, I think I've had the conversation with our business administrator that if they see Passaic Valley Water, the ID, I'm not going to pick up, and perhaps having a different agency reach out to reinforce it, we can get those addresses. Obviously, we need to communicate with our residents, and we may know how best to reach certain residents in certain areas just to let them know. But it's only
We'll send them
about-
over to you, Rick, I guess, tomorrow. They'll be in your email box, maybe even tonight, but tomorrow. We'll send them over.
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and thank you to your staff for joining.
Thank you.
We are up to Resolution 106 on our agenda this evening, hearing of citizens. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-1 et sec, the council opens every public meeting for comments of the public. However, in accordance with NJSA 10:4-12, nothing in this act shall be construed to limit the discretion of a public body to permit, prohibit, or regulate the active participation at any meeting. Therefore, please be advised that the council will not entertain any comments from persons who communicate obscene material, make statements which are considered bias, intimidation, in which a person intends to intimidate any individual or group because of race, color, religion, gender, handicap, sexual orientation, or ethnicity, or makes comments intending to harass or speak any offensive language. The person who makes these statements will relinquish their allotted 5 minutes for public discussion. Is there anyone who would like to address the council, please?
Yes, Joe Conoscenti. Council President, at the last meeting on the agenda, it had money given to a landlord at 361 Madison Street for like 19,000. I was listening to the mayor at the last meeting on this issue and yourself back and forth. The only thing that I come up with is that I still don't understand why the city is giving this landlord money when he could go to the bank or make out a check and he could have gave it to the company that's doing the alarm system. Why, I don't understand why the city's getting involved with that. Because as long as I've been in here, that's the first time I ever see it on the agenda. That's the reason I'm bringing it back up. It was never on the agenda for any other landlord. This is the first one. Why it's being done, I don't know.
I'm sorry, sir, which number is that on the resolutions?
What's that?
Is this a resolution you're talking about?
Yeah, 35 on the last, at the last meeting it was on.
From last meeting?
Oh, last.
Yeah. From 361 Madison Street, where they had the fire. But this is the first time it was ever put on the agenda. They say it's been on there, help landlords. In this case, I don't understand it. The guy's got a lot of property. Why do you need the city to give him money for it? So that's my first question. My second one is, why are we getting shuttle buses from out of state? My last question is parking enforcement. At the last, I think it was the last meeting, maybe a meeting or two, on the agenda again, you're buying 2 vehicles for the parking enforcement, but nobody's doing their job. You go around the city any time of the day, there's nothing being done. You don't see them. You don't see them nowhere. If you go on the east side, sure, they're towing, they're ticketing, they're doing everything on the east side. But on this side of town, you don't see nothing done. I witness it the weekends. I witness it during the week. Nothing's done. So these are my 3 questions tonight.
You finished?
Yeah.
Okay, so first you made reference to an item that was on the agenda, number 36, that was 2 weeks ago, for $19,000 to payable to an individual, a group, a company. You'll forgive me, I don't remember item number 36. I don't remember the placement on the checks, but we can certainly find out.
You want to read it? I got it right here.
I really don't. It's not the council's role to.
Oh, I know you
read
don't
it.
care.
It's the council's role to
I know you don't
oversee, not to particularize. Number 2, you asked about why are the shuttle workers coming from out of state? Mr. Mayor?
Council President, this service, as this is government, often we respond to the lowest bidder. This is a free shuttle service for the community. If the cost makes sense for us to use those, and I think he's referring to the license plates on those shuttle buses say New York. The service is concentrated only here in Passaic, but that costs us the least as this is grant funded. And obviously there are some costs to this service. There's a driver, there's obviously maintenance, so saving costs goes a long way in terms of ensuring that we can maximize the opportunities of using this free shuttle throughout the entire city. So that's the reason. If we'd have got the lowest price out of vehicles out of Virginia, as long as they're staying in Passaic, that's where we purchase. Oftentimes when we purchase vehicles or contract, they come from out of state. It's the cost that we're focused on and the quality of the service, as well as obviously if the vehicles work.
Your last point is that the traffic control is not evident in the west side, but is evident on the east side. I'm going to dismiss that unless you can give me concrete proof. I think it's spurious. I think you're trying to do what was done in the past. It is unacceptable. Thank you for your comments tonight, sir. Anyone else like to address the council?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
There's a motion, there's a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. You're up to Roman numeral 7 on our agenda item this evening. Number 1, please. Proposed ordinance 2476-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 231 stabilization of the Code of the City of Passaic. Is there a motion to open public meeting?
Move it.
Motion?
Second.
And second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. At this time, the council is deliberating proposed ordinance 2476. Is there anyone who would like to address the council on this item and this item only?
Joe Conoscenti. Chapter 231-8, Rent and Leveling Board. My question is, you picked three people for the board. I think two is, if I'm not mistaken, two of them is on the school board, and one is from somewhere else, and there's a lawyer. But my question here is, it was, I don't know how long you had to open to the public.
Mr. President, that's not on the ordinance. That's.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mayor.
No,
Inspector
this is another
remarks?
ordinance. This is part of the ordinance.
No, sir, it's not not the part of the ordinance that's being attended to.
Whatever you say. The question that I have is, you picked three people for the board. Two of them from the school board.
Still not.
Why are we picking from the school board when
I
you,
don't believe your question or remark is germane or possible for any of the members of the council, which is the appointing authority, to ascertain.
all right. My next question to this is that anybody that's picked to this board
Not
is supposed to be a
not
resident
You're
of
not
the
germane,
city.
you're not germane to the ordinance, sir.
What are you talking about? It's what to do with the ordinance.
That's not-
What are you looking for?
Sue?
Not the amendments that are before us. It's inappropriate to entertain any commentary with respect to other parts of the ordinance. There's only commentary permitted with respect to the specific section we're amending.
The time to address the points that you.
All right, my last one is gonna be is, rent control. What is the percentage of rent control? I know first I heard 8%, now I hear 6%.
You're hearing 6% from the business administrator. He would certainly be the most authoritative voice.
It's in
short
the
of the
first
mayor.
paragraph. Sorry, Council President.
No, please. I appreciate it.
First paragraph.
Anyone else like to address the council, please, on this item and this item only?
Seeing no hands, I move to close the public portion.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes. On the motion, please, is there a maker?
So move it.
Second.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. The motion passes unanimously. We're up to communication. Roman numeral 8 on our agenda, items 2 through 7. Are there any questions, please, on items 2 through 7? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept 2 through 7?
So move.
Second.
Motion and second, roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. All matters listed here are considered to be routine in nature. Items 8 through 14. Are there any questions, please, on items 8 through 14? Seeing none at this time, is there a motion, please, to accept items 8 through 14?
Move.
Second.
Motion and second.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello.
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Item 15, please. Is there a motion to accept?
Move it.
Motion
Second.
And second.
Councilman Love,
Abstention.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. We're up to resolutions, Roman numeral 9 on our agenda. Number 16 is a resolution authorizing closed executive session. Susie, do we need closed executive?
No, Council President.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Fernandez?
No, Council President.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor?
None at this time.
Thank you, sir. Members of the council? Seeing none at this point on items 17, 18, 19, and 20, are there any questions, please? Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept 17 through 20?
Move it.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Roman numeral 10, ordinances for introduction and first reading. Number 21, proposed ordinance amending Chapter 275 taxation, Article 2, tax abatements on residential, commercial, and industrial improvement projects, Section 5.1, definitions, and Article 3, tax exemptions on improvements on dwellings. Is there a motion, please, to set down for second and final reading at our next meeting of February 20?
Move.
Second.
Motion and second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scher.
Yes, thank you. Rick, can you give us a little bit of information on 21?
Yes, Council President. Mayor, do you want to go? Okay. So as we've been discussing for quite some time about balancing the ability for properties to be affordable, but also a way to raise the housing stock. I mean, the mayor, we're talking about even before 2017, he requested a legislative action to change the way that we are able to tax property owners so that they have an incentive to improve their homes. What we did is we took a look at his direction at the current state statute. And what can we do based on the current state statute using their guidelines while we're still fighting to get a legislative change on how can we incentivize improvements to really a housing stock? And I provided it as backup for the city council, where the majority of the houses were built prior to 1939, right? So the threshold within the state of New Jersey for designating areas in need of rehabilitation is a 50-year threshold. As you heard by the Water Commission, not only is our infrastructure over 100 years old, our housing stock is way over 50 years. So with that being said, in a way to keep the properties affordable, you took one action today by passing that amendment that limits the 6% of the increase. This in turn would also incentivize the property owner to rehabilitate that old housing stock to balance, right, the quality of life and the affordability for our residents. So one of the things, and the mayor mentioned this when we first initiated, the negativity surrounding a rent control ordinance is that it would incentivize property owners to be derelict because they're not getting money. So what this does is it turns that on its face. It then says to the property owner, if you fix your property, we're going to incentivize you to fix your property even while you have a rent stabilization to manage that balance throughout a community in which our housing stock is significantly older. This would be for improvements. One of the mayor's main focuses is this is not about new properties and constructing and making people construct new properties. That would fall under the current way that we do things. There would be an ordinance, you would have an agreement, and we would do that separately. This is for improvements, for modernization and rehabilitating properties within our city. So it's focused on that to give incentives with a 5-year tax abatement, maxing out right at the improvement. So it's not like you get the whole house. And the mayor made sure that there would be no negativity on taxation. All is based on new improvements, not the current taxation. So no matter whether you avail yourself of one section or the other, whatever your current taxes are would remain. So as far as the taxation purposes for the city of Passaic, we're not losing anything. If anything, we're incentivizing improvement so that within 5 years, it would actually raise our tax base. That's kind of in a nutshell.
How does that differ than regular tax abatements for projects, for improvements?
So it differs significantly because there's a limit. First, there's a restriction on what qualifies because it's an improvement only. So it's not a general tax abatement on the property. It's on the improvement. The taxation purpose is only based on that improvement, right? And it's only for a 5-year basis on the improvement versus what you normally see in a 5-year tax abatement where the entirety of the taxation is 0, 20, 40, 60, 80. This is only for limited to that scope as defined in our current ordinance as an improvement.
Also, well, I'm not sure if you got the full answer you needed. So I don't know that I'm follow up.
I'm still not so clear how that differs from a regular tax abatement that we have today.
So there's a reason why we put exemption as a definition because, and again, this was taken and formed from the state of New Jersey. So they differentiate the exemption from the abatement. These are exemptions, not abatements. Abatements, as defined in the law, is for your current structure. So if I am being taxed at 100,000 today, I would be abating that 100,000 and reducing it somehow. The exemption,
There's no reduction.
right? The exemption is not reducing your current taxes. The exemption is that you're not increasing it. The added assessment is not being increased until the end of the 5 years with the limitations that are stated in the ordinance, right?
I add a room to a property, my taxes, I get reassessed because of the additional room, and I file for an abatement because of that project, which means that that additional tax assessment kicks in over a period of time. How is that different than this?
So did you say an additional room or an improvement? Chapter 275 clearly defines improvements, and it does not include adding any additional units or rooms. I just want
So
to
the volume under our current definition of improvement.
exactly, because that's what I was going to
limits the
answer.
volume.
I think that's what he wanted.
Oh,
That's
okay. The
that's what I wanted to
definitions-
share initially.
Okay.
That by chapter 275, and you can look it up on government under our code book. The definition of improvement does not include any additional unit or creating a room. It is improvements, and it's very clear. And what I want to share is about 86% of the housing stock in the city of Passaic is over 50 years old. Over 70% is, I think, built before 1939. So one of the concerns as we continue this balanced approach to make Passaic more affordable, we understand that with this rent stabilization ordinance, there was some concern that would landlords, would property owners even want to do repairs. This 5-year abatement, which also lines up with the sunset of our 6 years, it would allow you to make any improvement. Again, you cannot create an additional unit, cannot create, you can't construct something new, but you can improve for 5 years. Basically, on the assessed added value, you have a cap of, I think it's up to 25,000 on dwellings.
25,000 on dwellings, yes.
That basically, to make it very simple, let's say I invested, I'm gonna use arbitrary numbers if the math doesn't add up, forgive me. Let's say I do $75,000 worth of improvement on my kitchen, improve my kitchen, or I'm fixing the hallways or whatever property. And the assessed value is gonna be something like, I don't know, an additional 35,000, 25,000 of that is not going to be taxed for the next 5 years. That's an incentive in order for you to make the improvements. 5 years from now, that can be added. But again, there's no reduction in that. Your taxes aren't going to go down. So the city isn't going to lose anything. In fact, it may gain by encouraging individuals to make improvements in the stock, especially for the older properties. And then 5 years from now, as we sunset from this, we'll see some additional revenue that would come in. And I think it is a benefit to property owners, to those who have dwellings and multi-dwellings.
The 25,000 cap is per apartment or per building?
Per residential of 1 and 2 families, I believe it's.
Yeah, they have it as dwelling units, so it would be,
Dwelling unit.
yeah, that's the way they wrote it in the state. We wrote it
and accommodated it within the auspices of the state restrictions.
I wanted more. As many of you know, and I'll be very candid, I have been pushing since I've been mayor for a moratorium on any assessment added to any repairs that are aesthetic. No expansion of square footage. I went down to the League of Municipalities. I presented it. I've been fighting for it. I will even share that I've met with a number of the candidates who are running for governors and explained to them that I'm adamant that I want to hear their support on it. Some of them have even committed to it. I think it's practical. Why are we de-incentivizing? Why are we punishing people for making aesthetic repairs or fixes? If I want to fix a siding, if I want to redo my kitchen, if I'm not adding square footage. In fact, I wanted to go as far as if you live there, if it is owner occupied and you're going to live there, we shouldn't tax you anymore for any repairs. I think once you sell it or if you're renting it out, we should tax you. But if I bought a home, I'm just speaking plain language here. If I bought a home, I'm going to live there for 30 years, why shouldn't I make it as nice as possible? Why shouldn't I accommodate it? Why am I being punished? And I think that this is a problem. So we were trying to figure out, and to the BA's credit, I was telling him, look, the league hasn't moved on it. Legislation is a little slow, even though we have the most remarkable assembly person in the United States of America, but there are other people who also serve in those roles, and the governors. But in all seriousness, I had tasked them with the attorney, find a way that we can do it in the city of Passaic. I want to bring tax relief. The council wants to bring tax relief. There's no way we're going to lower taxes. We try the best to level them. We're trying to make Passaic more affordable, but this allows you at least for 5 years to make whatever improvements that you want, within reason, obviously, and get some kind of break in incentive. I would hope it expands and grow. We are limited. Some of the numbers come from the state. I would have wanted 50%. 50,000, 100,000. They're limited. That's by state. It's not an arbitrary number. However, I think this is a good approach as we move closer and closer to making Passaic much more affordable in these trying times.
If I may, Mayor, do we have state go ahead on this, or the?
If this is permissible by the state, yes.
This ordinance?
This
yes.
is all lined up by law. We had the attorneys. This is all legal. We can do this.
Yeah, in fact, you can open up the state taxation ordinance and you can almost see exactly where we took it from.
Okay. Again, like most, it's not as far as I think we would want, but I think it is something, and those who would choose to take advantage of it. And again, it doesn't limit you to $25,000 of set. You can do as much as you want in terms of your fixes, but $25,000 of the assessed additional value, you will not be responsible for 5 years in this abatement. But you cannot create an additional floor, additional unit. That is, it's only improvements by the way it's clearly defined in the chapter.
Yeah, there's caps on all of it, which is what the mayor's getting at. We tried to relax those caps with a legislative amendment. In light of that still being considered, let's just call it, we did the next best thing and looked at their current caps and fit those current caps into our ordinance so that we can expand it as far as the law lets us, which is clearly not exactly what we wanted, but we did the most we could, as the mayor has always directed us to do. And I believe it's extremely good timing with the balancing of the stabilization of rents and the ability to repair your homes and improve it. I think they marry each other very well.
If we're making the argument that over the next 3 years, we're just coming off of the pandemic and many challenges, I think it's a clear argument. But again, I want to reiterate and let the council know I'm going to continue to push for the idea of a moratorium on any aesthetic repairs on homes, and actually add the idea that if it is home or owner occupied, I believe that you should be allowed to do the repairs that you want on your home as long as you're occupying that residence and not selling it or using it for commercial purposes. I think we shouldn't be going after you. This is additional money, and it's not money that anyone is losing. That's a side note. That's just I fight it. I really don't understand why we're taxing people for improving their homes.
Makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
This is both interior as well as exterior.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
And it's on assessed value.
Which sometimes the layperson may not be aware of. If you're spending $90,000 to redo your kitchen, God bless you. living room or anything like that. God bless you. But it's not the 90,000. It's once they come in and assess the additional value that was created in your home because of the repairs.
Yes.
So let's say, and again, I'm just using arbitrary numbers. They go, your home is now worth an additional 40,000. 25,000 of it, you're not responsible for the next 5 years. The additional 15 you are.
But at least it gives you that incentive.
And it would stay with the property.
Yes.
I do these improvements, and 2 years later I move. I had gotten the benefits, they continue with the new owner.
Stays with the property for the 5 years. For the 5 years, it ends at the 5 years.
Yeah, year 6, that 25 is just tacked back on to the current value.
And for the first 25, I redid my kitchen, and for the second 25, which I'm applying for now, my wife wants another kitchen. So I could be in line for both.
Yes, and the ordinance does not allow you to do a tax appeal during that 5-year period. If you do, you lose the tax let's call it,
Exemption.
it's not an abatement, it's a tax exemption under the law.
That part is specific for Councilman Schwartz, as always.
And that's why that's why we had to add, because our ordinance didn't have it, I had to add the exemption clause.
Great. Exciting.
Yes. So of course, we invite the council members to go through it, ask any questions of the attorney, reach out to us. But we think that it's a very, very good approach, especially lined up with some of the recent ordinances that we've passed in order to continue with our efforts to make the state more affordable in a pragmatic manner.
It certainly takes the sting out of a lot of stuff going on.
And it incentivizes what we want. We want people fixing. We want property owners to make repairs, to feel like they can add to their home without the city coming in and saying, here I am to reach into your pocket. We're saying, here we are. We'll be back in 5 years. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
We'll wait 5 years.
I think we are debating on a wrong candidate for governor of the state. I'm beginning to feel the wind pushing in that direction.
Unless we
Watch your
this
mouth,
entire
Council
team, listen, unless this entire team is going somewhere, these things come because of a team effort, and we have a great team here in the city of Passaic.
We'd be happy to bring camping materials with us. With the council's permission, payment to bills, Roman numeral 11. Are there any questions on the bills, please?
No, they're not.
Seeing none, is there a motion, please, to accept the bills?
Move it.
Motion and second. Roll call, please, on the bills.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. Administrators report, Mr. Fernandez.
None at this time, Councilman.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Mayor.
None at this time. Thank you, Council President.
Very exciting meeting, Mayor. Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn, please?
So move.
Motion
Second.
and second. Roll call, please, to adjourn.
Councilman Love,
Yes.
Councilwoman Mello,
Yes.
Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilman Garcia,
Yes.
and Council President Scheer.
Yes, thank you. The meeting is adjourned.